What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Motorfest. So before I did make a video about the drift class and or like the car I actually ran the entire time, basically like an all-arounder. That way you can actually get like the maxed out part sets you actually want. So I am planning on going over many of the other classes, so definitely stay tuned for that. But for this one, guys, we definitely have to go over the motocross class, and that's most likely going to come down to many people most likely not liking the way these bikes are. Trust me, I'm also going to be in the exact same category. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of these, and I really do feel like they kind of mess them up, but the main reason why I was also thinking about this, though, guys, is because a lot of players are most likely going to be grinding many events out to get these part sets done. We all do know how the RNG on this game currently is with dropping the actual parts you want, so you are most likely going to be using that exact vehicle in that said class a while, so I guess you really do have to get used to that said vehicle. But for me, guys, I obviously did run a loot digger set for this, at least after I got it. Now, I do have to admit, guys, you could most likely run basically any of the motocross bikes, also considering there's only 6 of them. I really do think you can most likely run basically any of them to max them out, but at the same time, guys, when testing many of these bikes out, I have to admit I do think there is going to be some great options, so I am also planning on going over each class and or like the best car in each class for that matter, so definitely stay tuned for those videos in the near future. Right down to this though, guys, I would recommend using the KTM 450 EXC Nighthawk edition in basically the entire journey of going after your Nitro Chemist builds for this class. Like, it really is going to take a while, so you most likely have to run that said vehicle basically the entire time, and you are most likely looking for something you can actually run that is not going to frustrate you with like some terrible handling, or like maybe it's not going to be the fastest thing out there, and you might not even like the way that vehicle does actually feel. So similar to like something like the drift class, where you could basically run the Evolution X the entire time in basically any of the racing events and or like the drift events, I would say the KTM 450 EXC Nighthawk is probably going to be like the exact same thing. Of course, you know, being a motocross bike and or not a drift car, but when running the 450 EXC Nighthawk Edition, guys, I was actually doing a lot of different events to really test it out, to really see if you could run this bike the entire time when going after like a chemist build, and or even like a loot digger, and in some ways I guess you could throw in like a score breaker if you actually want that set for this class. But if you are going to be grinding many of these races out, you are most likely going to be here a while. I would know because I've spent a crazy amount of hours actually grinding out sets, so I will be making more videos about that in the future. But the Nighthawk Edition, guys, really can do basically every event. Like, you not only can jump into some of the off-road races with like many of the rally raid trucks that would be in there, you can also do like many of the time attack races like the Vintage Garage, and or like one of the best races I actually grinded is the Hummer E Express, which is of course going to be like a time trial type of event, but you can also like skip the entire race. So I would basically say any bike and or car could probably do that event without any issues whatsoever. But even then, guys, the Nighthawk Edition does a great job in basically every race type, and I really do feel like many people are definitely going to be running the exact same bike. And the other reason for this, though, guys, there's not going to be a lot of motocross bikes you can actually run in Motorfest, so you are most likely going to be looking for like an all-arounder. That way you can use that exact vehicle to max the class out, similar to like the Mitsubishi Evolution X in the drift class. But the Nighthawk Edition, though, guys, is by far going to be like the best all-around bike you can actually run to at least go after the parts that you want. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say this, guys. I not only got a loot digger set, I also got a Fame Magnet and or a score breaker, and finally a Nitro Chemist set running this exact bike the entire time. So I definitely would recommend trying this thing out. If you guys have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more insight.